7:50, we're broadcasting live out of Tallahassee, Florida. The Sachs Media Group, the office, State Representative Dane Eagle, House District 77. We won't talk about other offices as of yet. We'll go to the other stuff. Good. Hey, by the way, economics, University of Florida.
That's right, yes.
You know, I remember that because Dominic Calabro is one of my best friends from Tax Watch. I'm a former economics editor, and I won't let the UF thing happen. I'm just kidding.
Go Gators.
Go Gators on that one there. Anybody but LSU, right?
That's right. So, that was tough, but I'm glad SEC pulled it off.
And so Dane Eagle, one of the most popular ones here in the state of Florida, again out of the Naples area, right?
Yes, Southwest Florida, Cape Coral,
Southwest
Fort
Florida.
Myers.
I know Drew and all those guys down there, the big fans of the show.
Drew Steele, Trey Radel.
I love the story of economics in Florida. You covered a lot. I know last year when you spoke with Tax Watch and some other groups out there, you talk about it. The economic situation is doing well. More people are moving in. Are we moving in because the climate is just so good, or do we still have the need to move a little bit more incentives out?
We got to keep pushing, not necessarily incentives, and that's actually what we've done in the Florida House. Is we got to create an equal playing field for everybody, and it's Reagan economics, and I think that's why people are coming to Florida. Obviously, we've got the environment, so that's something that's wonderful, and with that, we've got to protect it. We've got to. I think Ron DeSantis is doing a wonderful job when it comes to water quality and preserving our environment, because that is, I think, the first reason why people come to Florida or had started coming to Florida. You look at Thomas Edison, that made our area popular, and Disney. They chose Florida for a reason. But beyond that, it's the economics, and it's the policy, the conservative policies that we've been pushing as a legislature, and with the governors that we've had, and Governor Scott and now Governor DeSantis. It's cutting spending, it's cutting taxes. People are leaving New York in droves. We are the biggest importer of New Yorkers in the entire country. Florida is, because they are leaving these high tax, high spending states, and they're going somewhere where it's a little bit more palatable. We just hope they leave their voting records behind, right? If they're going to come to Florida, vote for the policies that we're passing, not the policies you left behind. So we've while the budget, our number one duty here as legislators is to pass a balanced budget. It's our only constitutional duty. We've had a organically growing budget because people are moving here, but that doesn't mean we should just spend the money that comes through the door. The tax base is increasing, but doesn't mean just spend it. So our duty, and Jose Oliva has challenged this over the last year and this year again, is to cut spending per capita. So we're going to look in areas to do that. We're going to cut taxes. We've cut taxes by $10 billion over the last 10 years. Going around my district and talking to people like, yeah, my property taxes were $40,000 in New York, and they're $6,000 here in Southwest Florida. I mean, that's incredible.
For years, again, you got your degree in economics. By the way, State Representative Dane Eagle, House District 77 out of Naples. And here's the thing. People think, I'm like, do you know how many Paul Krugmans are out there? There are probably more economists that are liberal. Everybody thinks it's all the history teachers. I'm like, no, a lot of economists are liberal, more Keynesian types out there. And I like it because I've covered these for years, more of a free market. I actually became more conservative as a reporter in the economic side and other issues as well. When you look at the deregulation, sometimes I would ask, I think the economy's doing real well, deregulation before the tax cuts. When you look at the deregulation here in Florida, the governors, I know you've championed a lot of these. Hey, do we need all of these occupational licenses, or do we need all the extra regulations on here? How close are we moving the ball to getting something done, or is it more reviews this year and then maybe more action next year?
I'm hoping we get action done this year. We've done quite a lot of reviews. This has been a topic that we've had since I joined the legislature, is deregulation when it comes to occupational licenses. And you have every industry that's out there. Well, don't deregulate us. And that's protectionism to a degree. They got in and they don't want others to come in and compete with them. But that's not what government's here to do. I think Governor DeSantis said it best in his State of the State address on Tuesday. You shouldn't have to get a permission slip from government to get a job. I mean, that's not what government's here to do. Yes, we need to have consumer protection out there, but to what degree? To what degree are we doing that we're impeding Floridians from finding gainful employment and helping the economy? So we're going to take a hard look at that again. And I hope we have action. We've done reviews. I think the time for reviews is over. It's time to pass something. So.
Is there, with an economics background, which you have, what are one or top two issues that you really like to see accomplished that maybe you are pushing, or something you're heavily championing for?
Well, deregulation is number one, but is one of them. Spending is the main reason I got into the legislature in the first place. When I got elected in 2012, it was the bottom of the recession. I guess we were on our way out at that point, but it wasn't known at the time. It was me being in my hometown, where we heavily rely on tourism and construction, which are not primary industrial type job creators. Those are secondary and tertiary. So we really had a tough time. So it was I wanted to get in the legislature and focus on taxing and spending, less taxes and less spending, frankly, and try to spur the economy. So that's number one when it comes to, what is my number one duty here in the legislature. But beyond that, it's to cut that back, the intrusive regulations, free market reform. That is something that we have championed in my first year as majority leader, going to second year with Speaker Oliva. And we've looked at areas where the budget is most, where's most of the money going in our budget? As I mentioned, we have to do a constitutional duty to balance the budget. Half of it right away goes to healthcare, almost half.
Yeah.
The second is the first runner-up is education. So why is it that the two things government is involved with the most, regulation-wise, healthcare and education, are the most expensive? Well, it's because government's involved.
Representative Eagle, a lot of people would talk about less spending, but I mean, let's be honestly, government spending went up over 20+% under the Scott administration out there. Thank goodness we didn't go along with the Medicaid expansion as well, which I think still may be down the horizon of coming back up here. Everybody talks about this, as some person said, hey, Ed, a lot of you guys on the conservative aisle talk about selling, hey, we're less government, less spending, but none of them are willing to put one on. How do you compare this year to other years? And Oliva's got some great, a lot of this is with Corkin, but with you guys out there as well. Are we going to be able to cut some of the spending, or is the better idea, if spending is just going to grow, let's at least reduce the increase? Which way are we going?
Yeah, so that goes back to the spending per capita. Spending overall increases because we have 21 million people and 800 people coming to Florida every single day. So you've got to make up for the growth. I mean, so spending is going to happen, but it's spending less per capita. So when we have 800 new people moving here to spend times 800 a day, or do we spend times 700 a day, or whatever that math is? And that's what I'm getting at. So while spending will overall increase because it's an organic growth, we need to spend less per capita. So that means that we are cutting in areas that were obviously spent more per capita before, and that is our goal.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it on this area. When you look at the area of cutting taxes, I mean, okay, communications, it doesn't put a lot of money back in people's back pocket. I get it. The commercial real estate tax, just on principle alone, I think outside of New York City, Florida's the only state that has a commercial.
Florida's the only one.
It's a renter's tax, is it?
Yes.
Explain it to the audience real quick.
So I'm a commercial real estate broker by trade. We have a part-time legislature. By the way, 4 things I think Florida got right: part-time legislature, balanced budget, term limits, and we're run by Republicans. So that certainly helps conservative policies. The last one's kind of a joke, but not really. But so in commercial real estate, the things that that we focus on, and having to make a living off of leases and sales, it's the rent tax. So anybody in the state of Florida that doesn't own their real estate, and there's a lot of people do own their commercial real estate, but a lot of people actually just rent and lease. And some huge companies, I'm currently signing a lease with Allstate. They don't own their real estate. They lease wherever they are. So they have to spend, which was historically 6% every month on the amount that their rent is. So it's like a sales tax basically, but it's a lease tax. We're the only state.
But that's all together with all the companies and stores that may be renting them as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that come in Florida's coffers every year, and that's wrong on our part. I mean, we obviously, without a state income tax, we've got a lot of other benefits, but this is one way that we have historically made up for not having these other taxes. But it's the only state in the union that has that tax, so it's a disincentive and a disservice when we're trying to lure other businesses here. So we're going to continue to cut that.
One thing I'd love to see is with a lot of it going, I mean, Dominic and Bill Hurley from NFIB, and I love the issue of the deregulation. But, Florida ranks well, but even with taxes and when it comes to other spending priorities, I wouldn't mind. What we should do? We should do and let me tell you, people start listening to this. I mean, they get outside the impeachment nonsense. They want to hear more about issues pertaining to their back pocket, and do a show like, hey, listen, this is where we're at, but Florida's so good, where do we go further? And you said there's ideas where we can still reform certain areas in the tax situation in the state.
Yes. I think there's plenty more. And every year we come up and we've got, every 2 years we get a new speaker, a new Senate president, new people that are looking at things, and we'll look at new ways to cut taxes.
All right. State Representative Dane Eagle, House District 77, and the Naples area. You're going to be hearing a lot more from him. I guarantee it. It was good to have you on.
Good to be with you.